So the really nice people at Voar Hockey have sent me one of their special editions. Now this is a Carbonix stick. It's a high carbon, 95% I believe, and it is made with Finnish carbon fibre rather than the Japanese carbon fibre that you see a lot of brands advertising. Voar is a new Finnish brand. Now this is a limited edition version of the Carbonix stick. It has a monochrome design in black and white and features my logo on the front. That doesn't make any difference to me. I'm still going to review it as a normal stick. So this stick is very light and it has a high balance point. This makes it feel really nice to dribble with. It's so light-headed you can move the ball left and right with lateral drags very quickly. As I say, it's very nice for moving the ball left to right and dragging around. It's also very good because of the low bow for getting under the ball and performing 3D skills. The stick does have some vibration when you're controlling the ball because of how stiff it is. Now, I counteracted this by putting on a Grip Pro Grip, which I do for all my review sticks, and that dealt with 95% of the vibration. The other issue was that I personally didn't like the end cap, but I'll talk about that more later on. The stick is very stiff and so has a very good power transfer when you're hitting the ball. It has a large hitting area where it's very nice to hit with, but the actual sweet spot is very small. You can really tell the difference when you're hitting with the sweet spot when you're hitting over about 80% of your maximum power. Up until about 80% power, the stick is very usable. It has this large hitting area. When you're really trying to hit the ball as hard as you can really tell the difference. Up until about 80% power, the stick is very calm and usable, but as soon as you were hitting harder than that, it got a lot more aggressive and you got a lot stronger feedback. Even though this is a low bow stick, I found it very easy to hit flat with it, both when slapping the ball, even with the groove, or when upright hitting. I personally didn't like the end cap that came with the stick. Something about the shape of this one made it feel like it was resting against the bones in my little finger, and all the nullification of vibration that the stick was doing was being counteracted because I could feel it vibrating the bones in my left hand. There are two solutions to this. The first one is the one that I took, which is I put a couple of layers of tape over the end cap and then put a chamois grip over the top. The other one I could have taken is I could have removed the end cap entirely. Now, as I've already mentioned, this is a very stiff stick and has a good power transfer. This is equally true when you're hitting on reverse, either upright or when you're getting down low and hitting a tomahawk. Now, when you're hitting a tomahawk, you'll find that the edge is very thick and usable. It's very easy to get a clean connection when you're hitting on your reverse. Because of the thickness of this edge, it can be quite difficult to get a controlled lift on the ball. Now, with a bit of practice, you will be able to control the height of the ball when you're hitting on your reverse. Because of the limited graphics on this special edition, there wasn't really anything on the face of the stick that I could aim for when hitting tomahawks to find the sweet spot, but with a little bit of trial and error I was able to work out where it was and hit there consistently. Now again, the end cap did play into the tomahawks a little bit as well. I found myself moving my left hand further down the stick so it wasn't resting against the end cap when I was hitting tomahawks, because I could feel the vibration through my little finger. Because of the stiffness, once the ball is on the face of the stick, it is very easy to accelerate through and you can almost point to the corner you want to put it into. Because of this control, it's also excellent for playing short lifted passes to teammates, just lifting the ball a couple of inches into the air to get it over a stick. Now the stick features a low bow and a groove in the shaft, so it is designed for flicking. Because of the shaping of the back of the stick with those two rails running through, it also makes it very thin at the edge of the head, so it's very easy to get under the ball to lift it up. Now once the ball is on the head of the stick, you can move it up into the groove to add extra whip when you're flicking the ball so you can generate more pace. Following on from flicking, we can talk about overhead passing. Now it's just as easy to get under the ball to play a long overhead pass as it is to play a short lifted pass. Now this stick is really fantastic for aerials. Just like with flicking, it's very easy to get under the ball because of that low bow and the thin head shape, but because you can channel the ball up into the groove, you can really whip through and get some extra distance on your overheads. Because the stick is so stiff, you can also control the point where the ball is released, so you can get real accuracy on your overhead passes. So as you can see from the footage, I was able to drop the ball onto the penalty spot and into the goal within a single bounce from the halfway line. So drag flicking is what this stick is really designed to do. It's very easy to pick the ball up and guide it into the channel because of the head shape and the bow, as we've already talked about. Because of how stiff the stick is, you have to be careful not to knock the ball away as you're doing the pickup, but once you have the ball under control, you can really accelerate through, and because of that stiffness, the power transfer is fantastic. Because the head of the stick is so stiff, you can really accelerate through the ball. So as you can see from the footage, a lot of my pickups are slower, but I accelerate through the ball. Because the head is so light, you can really accelerate through the ball, so you can slow down the pickup a little bit to accommodate for the stiffness. You can really accelerate through the ball right to the release. Because of the stiffness, all that power is transferred onto the ball. If you can utilize the groove, you can really get a lot of whip onto the ball as well, so you can add even more power on top of that as well. So to me, this is definitely more of an all-rounder stick than a specialist stick. It has fantastic power when hitting on open and reverse. It's very nice to dribble with, and it's fantastic to flick with. So it does have some rounded off edges where it could add a little bit more to certain areas, so it could be better at drag flicking, but it would reduce the quality of the hitting. So I think this stick finds an excellent balancing point in the middle.